I'm back with Erick Stakelbeck, Senior News Director of Trinity Broadcasting Network, TBN, host of TBN's The Watchman Show. Erick, Hamas, what were they thinking?
Few things here, Dinesh. You made a great point before the break. Yes, they have a strategy. This is not haphazard, they're barbarians, certainly, but there is a strategy. It's not just thousands of men rushing in headlong. This was planned out for years, according to an interview I just watched, Dinesh, with a top Hamas official who said we planned this for at least 2 years. They are very strategic in the most evil and sinister of ways. These are not stupid people. I hate to say it, intrinsically evil, but they do have a strategy. And what the strategy is here, what the goal is here is simple, in that you have to look back at the head of the snake, the Iranian regime. This cannot be overstated, Dinesh. The role that Iran plays in all of this. Remember, Hamas is a proxy of Iran, funded, armed, and backed by the Iranian regime in Tehran. When Iran says go, Hamas goes. Hezbollah goes. Iran, according to various reports, gave the order here about a week and a half ago for Hamas to proceed with this attack. And on the Watchman, Dinesh, I've been reporting over the past few weeks on this pattern of meetings, I call them terror summits, taking place in Beirut involving Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps leaders. They certainly weren't planning to talk about having a picnic. They were planning about this and launching a multi-front onslaught against Israel. I think it's pretty clear. So Hamas has its own goals, which are the destruction of the Jewish state, the so-called Zionist entity, push the Jews into the sea. That's basic. But they are also serving their Iranian masters who have larger goals. And this attack doesn't happen without the support of the Iranian regime. And I think that's something Israel and the world's going to have to contend with right now. Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, said, look, we're going to change the Middle East for generations through crushing Hamas. Well, you can change your immediate neighborhood by crushing Hamas, certainly in Gaza, and that's a good thing. But to change the region for generations, that means, quite frankly, crushing Hezbollah and not directly perhaps confronting Iran, but through indirect means. Israel has done that many times over the years. But eventually, Iran is going to have to pay consequences for this. There's no way around it. That is the head of the snake.
Now, to understand the snake, I'm going to put on my kind of mullah hat for a bit. And I'm going to look around the region as one of the Iranian mullahs. And I'm going to say that in recent years, and especially under Trump, things were taking sort of a troubling turn. Israel was making deals and pacts with leading Arab nations. And this offered the prospect not only of peace in the Middle East, but also of sidelining Iran, because suddenly you now have Israel, you have Saudi Arabia, you have Jordan, you have possibly Egypt. So the Iranians go, what can we do that would send a shockwave through the Muslim world, cause Muslims to go crazy and make it impossible for their own leaders to take a pro-Israel stance? Well, what if we launch an attack on Israel? What is Israel going to do? Launch an attack back. We're bound to get tremendous images of places being bombed, people running for their lives, people with missing an arm and a leg, blood over them, Muslim children killed. And so then we flash those pictures throughout the world. There's outrage in Pakistan. There's outrage across the Muslim world. Suddenly it becomes impossible for anyone, at least publicly, to do any kind of deal with Israel. Do you think that this is actually what the mullahs were thinking?
Yes, they've been thinking this for years. Dinesh, you laid it out beautifully. You really did. For years, this has been the strategy. I call it death by 1,000 cuts, the pinprick strategy. Attack Israel incrementally. Israel responds with overwhelming force. The images are beamed out around the world of what's happening in Gaza, a building turned to rubble. But by the way, not just arbitrarily turned to rubble by the IDF. The Israel Defense Forces, I would argue, Dinesh, along with the U.S. military, of course, are the most humane fighting forces in human history. I know that sounds like a big statement, but the rules of engagement for the IDF and the U.S. military are so extraordinary in the lengths that they go to avoid civilian casualties, to the point where they will put their own, Israel and the U.S., for that matter, will put their own soldiers at risk in order to save civilians. So that's number one. But number two, yes, this is the strategy as you laid it out. But I wonder if this time is different in that, yes, Israel is going to respond with unprecedented force. An unprecedented attack requires an unprecedented response, certainly. So Israel is going to do exactly that. I believe Hamas will be destroyed and completely devastated. And Gaza certainly will pay a heavy price here, no doubt. Hamas's power base. But I think the one thing that perhaps certainly sets this time apart is what Hamas, the images of Hamas atrocities. Many times Israel says, hey, they're killing civilians, and the footage perhaps wasn't there in some cases. Hamas themselves, Hamas terrorists, filmed all of this, butchering children, the elderly, Holocaust survivors, babies beheaded, families burned alive, and Hamas filmed it all gleefully, dragging civilians as hostages across the border back into Gaza. So right now, much of world opinion, not all sadly, is with Israel and sees that this is clearly a battle of good versus evil. There's really no gray areas here. And yet, as you alluded to, Dinesh, as Israel continues the offensive against Hamas in Gaza, we'll see footage beamed out from Gaza. It will be interesting to see if the tide of world opinion changes and turns against Israel. Even the Biden administration forcefully pro-Israel statements over the past few days. But does that change when the reality of the situation, when Israel does what needs to be done, does world opinion suddenly go back to its default position, quite frankly, and turn against Israel?
We'll be right back with Erick Stakelbeck, senior news director for TVN. Mike Lindell has a passion to help you get the best sleep of your life. Now, he didn't just stop with the classic MyPillow pillow. He also created the Giza Dream bed sheets. We use these. We love them. The sheets look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep, which is crucial for your overall health. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft and breathable, but also extremely durable. And Mike's latest deal, sale of the year, for a limited time, you get 50% off the Giza Dream Sheets, marking prices down as low as $29.98, depending on the size. Go to MyPillow.com, enter promo code Dinesh. There you'll find this offer, but also deep discounts on all the MyPillow products, the pillows, the robes, the mattress topper, the MyPillow kitchen towel sets, and so much more. Here's the number to call, 800-876-0227. Once again, it's 800-876-0227, or go to MyPillow.com. Don't forget to use the promo code DINESH, Dinesh.